Hey everybody, welcome back to BoatFools Sailing. Listen, a somber episode this week because we have all had the hand in the murder of a magazine. And we're going to get to that in a minute. But first, a couple of quick programming notes that are very important. One is today is the 8th. Tomorrow, March 9th, I'm going to be in Warwick, Rhode Island when this airs at a marine electrical systems class. And I can't wait. I'm doing it through the Narragansett Sailing School, where last year I took a marine diesel engine class. And I highly recommend that if you own a boat or are thinking of buying a boat, that you take some of these courses to learn about your boat's systems. Now, if you live in the Northeast, check out Narragansett. I'm sure there's programming like this around the country. I just want it noted that I am not sponsored by the Narragansett Sailing School, nor am I affiliated with them in any way. I'm just mentioning it in case you're in the area. Now, more importantly, next Saturday, March 16th, we have an awesome episode of the BoatFools Top 10 Countdown coming out. The good folks over at the Rigging Doctor, Maddie and Herby, agreed to come on the show and do the countdown with me, and it was a ball making it. We're putting the piece together now. They were very gracious with their time and information. It was very informative. I learned a lot, and you're going to learn a lot. So tune in on the 16th. It's going to be a ton of fun. Lastly, in a couple of weeks, Canadian Ken and I are going to go out on the road and hit the streets and go kick the jack stands on some boats and give you guys some tips and tricks to quickly discern whether or not a boat is worth pursuing for a full survey, or if you should jettison it off your short list of boats that you're interested in. So if you're in the market to buy a boat, because sailing season's right around the corner, check these episodes out. They're going to be a lot of fun. All right, so the murder of a magazine. How are we culpable? I'm going to tell you. But first of all, I know the news broke in late January that Good Old Boat was closing its doors, and it became official last week over social media. It is an absolute tragedy that this magazine has closed its doors. They were a beacon to us who love older boats. They served a community of like-minded sailors, right? They provided such wonderful stories of restoration and resilience on the boats that they showed and showcased in their magazine. And they made sailing accessible. And what I mean by that is they made us realize that we could maybe afford to do this, unlike Sail Magazine that showcases monsters like this that start at $850,000. It's absurd. So Good Old Boat magazine really was the voice of the every sailor, of the rest of us, not the 1%ers, but the rest of us who dreamed of owning some of the boats that they showcased in their magazine and realized that they were attainable financially and financially feasible in some cases. And we just loved that magazine because we saw ourselves in the stories portrayed. And it was the antidote and the antithesis of what is out there now in Sail Magazine and other rags and online, all these modern expensive beasts that I can't stand. And I've railed against modern design before and the modernity of sailing, and these boats here represent what I don't care for, because we seem to be entering into an era of soulless uniformity, right? And these boats just lack character and charm, and that's what we're heading toward now. And like I said, Good Old Boat was the antithesis of this, and it's a reminder that our past is fading. So how did we have a hand in this? How are we an accomplice to this murder and to this downfall and demise? Well, it's not unlike how Amazon, when founded, quickly destroyed and really decimated the publishing industry. How did that happen? Well, when they were founded in 1994, 1995, there were more than 12,000 bookstores in this country. There are less than half of that now. And then quickly followed Kindle and the onslaught of self-publishing. There only used to be a few self-published titles a year, maybe 1,000 or a few thousand. Now there are millions. and the Kindle and the platform of Amazon and self-publishing and direct publishing and print on demand and digital printing has just decimated the field of publishing. Did you know that the typical book published in this day and age sells between 200 and 1,000 copies? It's insane. So trying to find your voice and trying to find your market out there is very, very difficult. And Amazon and self-publishing is responsible for this. The book market is flooded with books. And so it's very hard to find your market. How do I know this? I was in publishing for a number of years. I was at Simon & Schuster Publishing in New York when Amazon was born. And we had conversations about whether or not we should even do business with them. And man, has the landscape changed since then. Not only that, as recently as 2 years ago, I was the co-publisher and co-owner of a small book publishing company. So I understand Good Old Boat's woes in that there are razor thin margins in publishing, and that the rising prices of printing and shipping and paper can be really detrimental to a business that is always, always cash hungry. So I know this firsthand, and so I feel for them at Good Old Boat Magazine, and I hope that they all land on their feet somewhere and are happy and move forward. But for the rest of us, we are guilty. And how are we guilty? So like Amazon and self-publishing ruining the book publishing industry by and large, so has the advent of the internet and YouTube and Google and other platforms. Because when YouTube was founded and launched in 2005, suddenly everybody became a content provider with videos and through other platforms on the internet, but YouTube in particular, and I'm guilty as charged, right? We unwittingly loved Good Old Boat Magazine to death because we couldn't wait the 2 months or a month or whatever it was back then to receive our issue of the magazine, to learn about a boat that's being reviewed or a DIY project that was being presented. We had to have the information now. So why wait 2 months when you can get it in 2 seconds, right? Everybody became an expert. Everybody became a DIY information provider on these platforms. And we're all guilty of having an insatiable appetite for wanting more and more and more. And Good Old Boat made us that way because they provided such great material. We wanted more of it, and we wanted it now. So now we're left behind. The community of like-minded sailors that Good Old Boat served and represented is now like the last home in a neighborhood that's being bulldozed for a new, sleek, gleaming subdivision of McMansions that's here to replace us, right? And that's what it feels like with all these boats being built today, these modern machines that just seem to be built to go faster and faster and get you there more quickly, right? Whatever happened to the journey, right? It's like the automobile industry, and it's like the advent of autonomous cars. I was just down in Phoenix with my wife and kids in February visiting family, and there are autonomous taxis whizzing by us with no drivers, but passengers sitting there texting or reading or drinking coffee. It's insane. Cars used to represent like freedom and adventure. And now they're becoming really nothing more than mundane appliances. And I feel like sailing is going down that slippery slope. These boats are getting bigger, faster, wider, and just soulless, right? And they're just trying to get us there faster. Don't fall for it. Don't believe the hype, and don't believe all the BS out there about boats that are 10, 20, 30, 40 years old, have no business being on the water or purchased by you. It's a bunch of BS. I live on Camden Harbor here. I don't live on Camden Harbor. I wish I did, but my office overlooks Camden Harbor. And during the summer, when that harbor is chock-a-block full of boats, I guarantee you that 80% of them are older than 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and older. In fact, there are schooners out here that are more than 100 years old, and they're sailing every day. And so all these boats go out and ply the waters of Penobscot Bay, which has some of the best cruising waters in the world. And these boats, some of them are ancient, and they're out there all the time. So don't buy into the hype that older boats are not good. You just need a good marine survey, and you need to be very selective. So, Good Old Boat Magazine, we're sorry. we're sorry for our hand in your demise, and we're sorry that you're gone because we loved you, but we loved you too much. We loved you right to death because we needed it now and we needed it fast. And that's the way the world seems to be going, right? But I think we need to unite. I think we need to band together. I think we need to rage and rail against this modernity in sailing. We really need to. So don't go gently into that good night, all right? Now, a tangent, but not really, because it's all related, because if we all bought more books and more magazines, we wouldn't be in this predicament. But I'm going to show you 4 books related to our aforementioned episodes that we're going to do out kicking the jack stands on some used boats, all right? So if you're thinking of buying a boat or currently have a boat and are wondering where to start on certain projects, I'm going to show you 4 books that you need to have in your library. And I don't make a dime from this, okay? I'm putting the links down below, not to Amazon, but to bookstore.org, which serves the independent bookstores, okay? All right, so these books in no particular order. Your first Sailboat. Wow, Your First Sailboat by Dan Spur, right? This is a great book, and there's a new edition of this out. I highly recommend it. It has lots of really good information there. Oddly enough, This Old Boat, okay? Not related to Good Old Boat, but this is by Don Casey. There's also a newer edition of this out. This is really a great book to have in your library. It has a lot of very, very useful information and tidbits. Inspecting the Aging Sailboat by also Don Casey. This is a great book as well. Funnily enough, published by International Marine, where I worked a number of years back in the early 2000s. And then last but not least, How Boat Things Work by Charlie Wing. This is actually the textbook used by the Narragansett Sailing School, and I highly recommend it. It's got some great illustrations in here of, engine parts and parts of your boat, including your binnacle and engines and heat exchangers and props. It's all in here. The illustrations are phenomenal, and this book belongs on your boat. All right. Getting a little tongue-tied because I'm really fired up about the passing of Good Old Boat magazine. So, what do we do? What do we do? How do we go from here? I'll tell you what, we hold fast. We hold fast to the past, and we chase our dreams, if you haven't yet, of owning a sailboat. Go find the one that works for you, own it, love it, cherish it. Hold fast to the past, and we'll see you next week.